So I think we'll begin right now. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pamela Malval, and I'm the Deputy Director of PDI. Thank you for joining us this morning. So before we begin, we'll do a little housekeeping, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Anna Sijek, our Director, so she can guide you.
Thank you so much. Muy buenos días a todos los que prefieran escuchar todas las presentaciones en español. Les pedimos que en la parte abajo de sus pantallas, en el símbolo con el globo que dice interpretación, por favor, escojan español si prefieren escuchar toda esta presentación en español. Tenemos intérpretes con nosotros, Lorena Suárez y Priscila Hasbro, y ellas van a interpretar la sesión completa desde ahora a las 9 hasta las 12:30. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros. Les damos la bienvenida. Pamela?
All right. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for joining Superclass Saturday 2. We're so excited to have you with us today this morning. Thank you for joining us. Once again, we really have a great agenda for you today. So we have so many things planned for you. So with me today, I have Ms. Pam Hollingsworth, our Senior Vice President of Strategic Initiatives and Programs. And as I mentioned before, Anna Sijek, the Director of the Professional Development. Also here with us, we have the entire faculty of the Professional Development Institute. Dr. Carmen Medrano, Angelica Ordosgoicia, Christina McGuire, Angela Palacios, Ana Avalos, and Dr. Lesser, and Shorhonda Walker. So I want to thank every single one of them for helping us to put this event together and bringing it to you. All right, so we're going to go through our agenda for a little bit. And also, I would like to thank our partners and also our presenters for being here with us today. First, we have Rachel Giannini, which is our keynote for today. I will share a little more about Rachel when I introduce you to her in a couple more minutes. Through Teachstone, we also have the opportunity to bring to you really focus on different areas of work and interest. So we're going to have Johanna Parker and Johira Busa. So by providing you with pre-K and infant tracks, you will gain some more information that may affect the areas of your classroom and things you do on a daily basis. So from Teachstone, these presentations will be awesome, and we have 2 different sessions. So both Joanna and Johira bring years of experience and knowledge about the class observation in Teachstone, and also the members of the PDI faculty will be present throughout all the track sessions in order to provide you with any support that you might need. Also, we will have simultaneous interpreters, Lorena Suarez and Priscilla Hasran. So on this note, so let's begin. Let's review the agenda. So we just did our welcome, and now we're doing our love. We will be having our keynote, Love and Resilience. You've Got This by Rachel Giannini. At 10:15, we will begin to move from track to track. First, we'll have our infant track, Facilitating Exploration During Playtime, presented by Joanna Parker. For our preschool track, Analysis and Reasoning at Center, presented by Johira Busa. And then we'll have a 15-minute break. Once we're done at 11:30, we'll go back to our respective track, the infant and toddler track, asking effective questions during story time by Joanna Parker. And our preschool track, Scaffolding During Small Group Time by Johira. And then at 12:30, we'll go back to our closing session and we'll be done. So just so you know, before we continue, I would like to point out that in your browser, the way that you are able to join in your lobby, you are able to access the different session you'll be able to move from. So for now, we'll stay here in Love and Resilience. You've Got This. And later on, if you're an infant or a preschool teacher, you will choose which track that you would like to join. So as you can see in the arrow, you click on session and you will be able to choose which session that you would like to join at 10:15.
Pamela, I'm sorry, we're not seeing that. We're still seeing the agenda.
I'm sorry.
There we
Sorry.
go. Okay.
Sorry. So this is here. You will click on session and then you will click on join in order for you to join either your infant, toddler, or the preschool track. All right. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Miss Rachel Giannini. Miss Rachel Giannini is our keynote for today. We're so lucky that Rachel accepted another invitation from us here at the Early Learning Coalition of Miami-Dade. Welcome back, Rachel. We're really glad to have you here today with us. And just a little bit of background about Rachel. She is a childhood specialist and an early childhood advocate and a video blog host. So please join me in giving Rachel a warm Florida welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pamela. Thank you so much, the Early Learning Coalition. Thank you so much, Miami-Dade. Friends, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years since we've done this. And I think it's quite funny because I was pointed out earlier that 2 years ago, we had the whiteboard and I hand drew the ELC thing and it was awesome. And now we're in the same room, but it's a nursery. Now it's my little baby's room. So I'm really excited to be presenting from here today. And I'm really excited to be taking on this conversation. Same thing applies as last time. I am still a middle child. I will still talk all day. So we still have to hit the stop talking alarm. If you've seen me present, you know it always goes off at a very awkward time. And I pretty much ignore it, but it's going. Okay. So on that note, let's start with that first slide, Pamela. All right, love and resilience. You got this. So basically, here's the deal. Today, we are going to talk about you. I know that's a very strange concept. So right now, I'm sure you are at home, you got your coffee, you got your breakfast, it's going great. I'm going to ask you sincerely to try not to lose focus over this next 60 minutes. And the reason why is because the work that we do, we don't focus on us. Like there's going to be a lot of truth dropped out in this keynote. I'm giving it all. I'm dumping the purse out. We are going to just have like a straight up conversation. Y'all don't take care of yourself. And we know this, we don't, because most of the time we're caring for, all of these children who are not ours. So on that note, this next 60 minutes is for you. It is for you to be reflective. It is for you to hear how amazing you are. And I want nothing more than by the time we get done for you to look in the mirror and say like, yes, I am a superhero. Yes, I am amazing. Yes, I am smart and brilliant and funny, and I look great doing it. So on that note, if you happen to have a piece of paper and a pen nearby, perfect. We will use it. There's going to be little snippets throughout for you to be reflective. But if you're like, hey, Saturday, I don't want to do any homework, I feel that.
Hey.
Yes. Oh, I thought I heard something. At that point, just sit back and really think about the prompts that we're
The
given.
one you got, your link.
Okay. I would keep going. So you may be at home alone. You may be at home with other people. And at whatever voice you want to use your big kid voice, use your little kid voice, just use your voice. We're going to start off by just saying, I am amazing. We're going to say it together on the count of 3. I am amazing. One more time. Oh, it's better. Who cares if anybody hears you? Because you are. I am amazing. Okay. I can hear you from here in Chicago, even though you're way far away in Florida. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here's the deal. We're going to focus on what has kept us here and what we basically pull from every single day. But before we talk about today, this moment, we have to take a moment and talk about what brought us here. the thing that got us to this point. And if you've seen me talk before, I really love this idea of a because moment. And if you've never heard about it, get ready. Because moments are these little things that happen to you, these little things that maybe seem totally inconsequential, like they don't matter, but they do, because your heart and your brain and your soul come together and they make this memory, this moment. And it's essentially why, like, you can't remember what you had for dinner like a week ago. But if I was to ask you to tell me about the day you met your partner or your best friend, you can tell me everything. You can tell me what you were wearing, what it was like outside, everything. Like, you can't tell me what you did last week. But if I ask you to recall an amazing family trip from when you were 7, you can pull that out like it was yesterday. When it comes to teaching, all of us have a moment. All of us have a moment that we decided that we were going to give ourselves to children. Because here's the deal. I don't think any of us, we all came out, wanted to be a teacher at one point, but we didn't come out of the womb like, let's do circle time. We didn't be birthed from our mother with flashcards. That didn't happen. We had to make a choice. You didn't start teaching when you were a day old. You chose this profession. And it's not like this is a glamorous profession. You did not get into this for the money and the fame. You didn't. You didn't get into this for that sweet $1 million paycheck. So something happened to you. And it's really incredible because on paper, like if I was to just like let's do a little exercise, not physical, that's too early in the morning to be physical, a mental exercise, a pretend exercise. So put on your pretend hat if you have one nearby. You're a preschool infantility teacher, I'm sure you do. And I want you to pretend it is the day before you decided you were going to apply for that job. You were going to enter that educational center. You were going to declare your major in college. And I'm there. And I say, hey, before you sign up, before you fill out that application, let's talk about your future. Pause for dramatic effect. So, are you prepared to be sick the next 2 years of your life? Because you're going to be sick every day. You will have every germ and disease and virus and bacteria known to man, because you are essentially about to become a very large tissue. Your clothes, they're adorable, but don't get attached to them, because everything alone will soon be covered in what probably will be, fingers crossed, just paint. It's not going to be paint at all. I'm sure you enjoy a lovely leisurely meal. Don't get used to it, because you're going to be able to eat a 7-course meal in about 3 minutes, leaving you to sit awkwardly at tables while everybody else eats like adults and you ate like you were in the zoo, because that's a thing. Also, let's talk about bodily functions, not yours, because you don't have them anymore. You will hold them for like 8 hours a day. Like, your bathroom won't be a thing. However, are you cool with cleaning up other kids' either ends? Because you're going to do that. Also, lice. Even better, phantom lice, where I just say the words and everyone at home is already like this. Don't worry, you don't have any. Last but not least, are you okay with being paid less than a dog walker? Because our national average is $10.72. And are you okay with when people ask you what you do and you say you're a preschool teacher or you're an infant toddler teacher, they think that you are basically a babysitter. And they think that you're basically someone who plays all day, and that's just, it's adorable, even though you're the smartest person in that room. Because if that's what you're down for, then come on, join. Be with us. And on paper, it is really easy to be like, yo, peace, I'm out. Like that sounds really intense. But you didn't. So something happened to you. And chances are, and I love this because I have asked people all across this country, why are you doing this job? Why are you giving your life, your energy to children that you cannot claim on your taxes? Children that you do not reap a financial benefit from. Why are you doing this? And it's not for the money, and it's not for the glory. And I'm going to say 80 to 90% of people I ask say it's because of a teacher. Say it's because of somebody that listened to them, that believed in them, somebody who explained those weird symbols on a page in a way that they felt smart and they were able to do math. Someone who encouraged them to read that book and sat with them as a tiredly, I will cry, by the way, that will be a thing, sounded out letters. And that impacted them so much that they wanted to give that to somebody else. So the first thing that we need to do before we talk about why we're here, or excuse me, why we stay, is take a moment and think about why you got here. I am going to put on a little background music for a single minute while you, it won't be a minute, it'll be like 10 seconds. But think, just really quickly, why are you here today? Why did you get up at like early morning on a Saturday to be here? You didn't have to be here. You could have slept in. You didn't. You're here. 443 of 444 of you are here. All right, my friends. This moment, regain that energy, because it's now going to be with you as we move forward with this presentation. Next slide, please, my love. Resilience. All right. Over the last 2 years, shocker, it's been hard. And we all know it's been hard, but here's the deal. Nationwide, over 50% of centers have closed. We've lost 1 in 4 teachers. That is incredible. We have had more people leave the field early. Out of the number one reason when asked is due to burnout, is due to be exhausted, but you didn't give up. You didn't stop. You're here. You, in the midst of caring for your own families and your own classes, you're here today. And that is because, my loves, you are resilient. You are resilient. It's so funny. When we talk about resilience, we always think about our kids, right? Like that is one of the biggest traits that we try to foster in our children every single day. We want them to be able to stand up when they get knocked down. We want them to be problem solvers. We want them to be critical thinkers. We want them to be leaders. We want them to be able to pivot, have a different point of view. We want them to be able to change and grow and learn from their mistakes and their community. We spend almost all of our time trying to build resilient children. When you ask Fortune 500 companies, one of like the first things they always say is like, we want someone with resilience. Well, that's what we do. We foster that. But the incredible thing is, we don't take the time to realize how resilient we are ourselves. We don't take that moment to think about all of those traits and all of those skill sets that we want our children to have, we embody that. And the cool thing is, when you acknowledge your own strength, when you acknowledge your own power, it keeps you going. It doesn't allow you to give up. Because seriously, friends, if you wanted to give up, you would have already done it. There is no, like, if you were to bounce out over the last 2 years, nobody would have been like, oh, really? You left? Like, they'd been like, oh yeah, I feel you. I read the news. Your job is hard. But you're here. So let's take a little bit. We're going to break down the different components of resilience and just talk about like where we are and who we are and how we can use that momentum to just keep going and encourage others. So next slide. And I have a little bit of a snippet on that. So here's the deal. Y'all, I discovered this book. It is no joke. Like Winnie the Pooh on crack. Like you will cry every page. Like it gets you in the feels. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. If you don't know this book, get this book. It is so good. So there are little snippets all throughout, and I'm using them kind of as like a little catalyst for to like move our conversation. So the first one is the boy, and he's holding the mole, and he says, "I'm so small," said the mole. "Yes," said the boy, "but you make a huge difference." It's really funny. I often think that really good children's books, like the really, really good ones, aren't necessarily meant for kids. They're meant for the adult who's reading them, because sometimes we need to hear those words more than somebody else. We need to hear those words more than that child. And much like this keynote, we need to hear that and be reminded how resilient we are before we can continue to instill that in our loved ones, who are our littles. So first things first, let's jump into that first competency. This sounds a little dry, it's not. So we're gonna break this down into different traits that make up resilience. So let's start with the first one, which is on the next slide. And it's basically confidence. Right, so every day we complete tasks, which essentially is what this is. You have the ability to complete tasks. You have the ability to move through things effortlessly. But here's the deal. In our job, there is no small task. There is nothing that is small. Even the simplest things require so much skill. And also, can we just take a moment and let's state this. If you are tired, if you had a long night, if you are a little under the weather, if you have some personal stuff going on, you show up. You show up because you know that if you're not there, those kids are going to have a hard day. You know that if you don't go to school that day, it is going to be worse for you the following day. Like, you know that in our children's lives, especially right now, when things are so kazoo, that having stability is the best thing for them. So you show up when you want nothing more than to be under those covers and pull it up tight and stay in an extra 10 minutes. You get out of bed and you go to work. That itself is completing a task. There's this whole school of thought of people who make their bed first thing in the morning are more successful because of the idea that immediately out of the get-go, they've achieved something. Before they've even left the house, they've already completed a task. We make our bed, but 20 of them. We are so incredibly talented at our jobs, but here's the deal. It wasn't always that way. We all have first days. We all did that first read aloud where we were nervous, right? We all did that first lesson. We all did calendar for the first time where we kind of got a little confused or awkward when kids started touching each other and we didn't know how to redirect yet. We all had that time that we were in charge of really monitoring the children while your co-teacher set up snack and you're like, oh gosh, they're all looking at me. They're all looking at me and I better get us and keep us all together. We all have that first day, but then it gets easier. And right now, if I was to ask you to think about that very first day that you were a teacher, I bet that very first day, something happened that you were nervous. The first time a kid got a splinter and you were like, what am I gonna do? Get the tape? Do we have tweezers? What's gonna happen? Like we all have moved on. We have to do it first. We have to complete that first task. And in a day that we complete 20, 30, 40, thousands of tasks, you do that. So let's go ahead and hit that next slide. And we're going to take a moment and we're going to have a moment of reflection again, friends. I want you to think for a second, when is the last time that you felt successful? Like, when is that last time that you like unapologetically was like, yeah, I crushed that? Because here's the thing that's really frustrating about us. We are so busy celebrating everybody else's success. Oh my gosh, you tied your shoes. Oh my gosh, you sounded out that letter. Oh my gosh, you stood up in line right behind your friend and you didn't touch him. Like, we celebrate so many little moments in all of these children's lives. When's the last time that you celebrated a moment in yours? When is the last time that you felt successful? So I'm going to hit play on our fun music and I want you to think about it. Oh my gosh, I love that Anna's writing in the chat. If you are open and you are down, put it in the chat and share it out. We are your community. If you want to share something and say, like, you know what? Yesterday I rolled into school and I remembered my coffee. And I didn't forget it at home. I didn't put it on the hood of my car. I enjoyed that. Or yesterday, I did an entire rug time. We reviewed every single vocabulary word, and I made the kids laugh 5 times. Like, when's the last time that you were like, dang, I'm good. I'm really good. Because you are. And it just stinks that nobody's right behind us as our cheerleader. No one's right behind us to say like, oh my gosh, you did that. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Because we need our own cheering squad. All right, you have 1 more second. All right, friends, let's go to that next slide. All right. Seriously, man, I am just going to complete. I'm just going to cry this entire time because I want nothing more than to just be your guys' cheerleader. I want nothing more than for every classroom to have your children, your teacher, your co-teacher, an assistant, and 2 cheerleaders that just sit behind you and be like, great job. We yell it instead of whisper. All right, so I want you to think about one task that you do every day. What's one task that you do every day that if you were to bring up to somebody else, they would think that that was bananas? Like, for example, something as simple as like, I put up 20 chairs every day. I help 20 children get on coats. I make sure that there are 20 children that do not leave this playground. I put 20 children to bed every day. I change 400 diapers. I wipe 700 noses. What is one thing, one task that you do every day that somebody would be like, what? Are you serious? And you do that every day. And if you don't have one, I'm just going to give you one. Do you do a rug time? Well, then you have a television show. If you do a rug time, you essentially have a 15-minute show where you are the most captivating, amazing, aspirational person that these children have ever seen, because you are not only entertaining them, you are working on literacy and math, you are doing science, you are doing crowd control. If you were to say to somebody, like, think about any of your friends who aren't teachers, put 20 children in front of them and be like, go at it. 15 minutes. Keep them together. That's bananas if you do that. So I have a really great story, but I'm going to hold on to that for a minute before I share it. Do I want to share it? I have my notes and part of me, yeah, you know what, forget it. I'm going to share it. So once upon a time, there was a politician and he was like, I'd like to come to your school, because he wanted to take photos for like his campaign because he was pro kids. Okay. The gentleman showed up in a suit. Totally cool. I get it. You are a professional. Your suit costs more than all of my clothes put together. Rolls up in his suit and a book. And he's like, I'm going to read this book at like the story time. I'm like, great, that's awesome. He brings Dr. Seuss All the Places You'll Go. Okay, that's a great book. That's a great book that should give to, you know, like a high school graduate or an older kid. That book is 60 pages. 60. And you're going to read it to a bunch of 4-year-olds. Okay, so he also brings a photographer. So it's like, children, this is our alderman, blah, blah, blah. He'd like to come and read a book. He starts reading, pause. He starts telling people, the children, what an alderman does. And immediately the kids are like, they're getting squirrely, they're touching each other, and it's going wrong. He starts reading the book. I'm going to say 5 pages in, he is now looking at me for help. Like, will you? And I'm just like looking around, like, nope, you got this. He is sweating so much that his photographer comes over and says, I don't think we're going to take any more pictures. And I was like, I don't think you should, because he's like sweating through his shirt. He ultimately gives up. He's like, okay, kids, we're done. And he like closes the book and puts it away. He comes up to me later and he's like, you do this? You do this? I'm like, every day, twice. I do this twice a day. And he looks at me, he said, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. He's like, and I sit in rooms with people and I write bills and I make legislation and I've never done anything this hard. We do that. Think about that for a moment. When I ask you to think about a task that you do that you think nothing of, you roll in, you do it, and you're out. Anybody else would struggle, but you don't, because you are amazing. Okay, let's move on to our next slide. All right. Isn't it odd that we can only see our outsides, but nearly everything happens on the inside? I'm going to read it one more time. Isn't it odd that we can only see our outsides, but nearly everything happens on the inside? All right, friends, let's talk about confidence. Next slide, my love. I love this because when I think about all the things and all those traits about resilience, I think confidence is the thing that I really gravitate towards, because it is something that a lot of us don't have, or let me rephrase that, a lot of us don't realize we have. And I think that's a shame. Like, all of us have the ability, I mean, all of us are 10 times more confident than we think, because here's the deal. We fail You've failed millions of times. Think about a rug time, a circle time that just goes wrong. And you stop and you're like, well, children, that was a bad idea. Never doing that again. Or something that just goes, you give the kids something goes totally wrong, and you're like, oh, we're never done. I learned something. We fail and we learn from it. And the cool thing about this is when educators fail, we realize that it is not our fault, but we just didn't have that tool yet. We don't blame us. We stop and we realize, oh, wait a minute, I just didn't know that that book was 60 pages. I'm going to read those books ahead of time next time. When something happens to us, we, because we instill it in the children, take on that same thing of, it's not me, I'm not stupid, I'm not dumb, I just didn't know. Just didn't know. We need to make sure that we all go to the bathroom before we leave for that walk. Like, we learn, we are constantly learning. And the cool thing is, the more that we do our job, the more skill set we have. We learn to be more observant. I can tell you right before that kid touches another kid. We learn to be more strategic. I'm not putting you next to that kid because I know that that's what's going to happen. We are constantly learning. And the neat thing is, all of that knowledge builds our confidence. If you were not confident, you could not walk into a classroom of 20 children. If you were not confident, you could not walk in and own a room. If you were not confident, those children would eat you alive. And you know that. You know that they smell you the day that you're just not feeling great and they pounce. If you were not confident and you could not own it and you could not back up, you would not be doing this job. That is a real thing. So failing is incredible. And as much as we try to foster that in our children, we try to foster that resilience, that ability for them to, like, oh, it didn't work out. Well, what could we do differently? The cool thing is, and I love this, we give that to that child. And what I mean by that is, we're sitting there, we see something go awry, and we have that ability to stop and be like, okay, let's think about this. What didn't work out? Okay, well, what could we try differently next time? When things don't work out for us, nobody's standing above our shoulder and saying, what could we do differently? Maybe there is, and we're very lucky to have a curriculum coordinator or a co-teacher that is really wonderful and reflective with you. But more often than not, you have to sit with yourself. You have to sit with yourself and acknowledge, okay, that didn't work out. And then you have to stop and be like, what am I going to do differently? It's not going to give up. It's going to be blank, blank, and blank. And I think that's huge. So let's take a moment and just think about one of those. Next slide, pretty please. Okay, so for this prompt, I want you to think about, when is a time, the last time that, I think this might be last time, I can't see the whole one. Oh, confident. Okay, we're going to pause on that. I'm going to give you a verbal prompt, and then we're going to do the next one. What is the last time that something didn't go as planned? I'm going to hit some music. When's the last time that you set something up? I know, every day. Totally right, Denise. That's the thing. When is the last time that something didn't go right? Like, you planned it, you're like, oh my gosh, the children are going to love this. And you did it, and it wasn't there. And I love that Martha and so many people are like, yes, every day, that's a thing. Just think about any other job, any other career. Could you roll in like an accountant and be like, well, those numbers didn't work out? Like, that's not okay. Like we have a job that every day, nothing goes the way we want it to, which is really incredible because that means every day we have to learn to be flexible. Every day we have to learn to rethink complete situations. Every day is an opportunity for us to learn. So many people just go into a career and that's what it is. That there's not a lot of like changes. Be like, this is what I do every day. I go in and I work on these numbers, blah, 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 blah. Every day we know that all of the work that we do, think about that, like this top and think about that. Every day we plan knowing that there's a really good chance that none of it's going to happen. And we're okay with that. So let's go to that next slide. When is the last time you felt confident going into something? Not after the fact, but going in. And I really hope it's the same answer as it was for when's the last time something didn't go as planned. Because every day we are confident that it's not going to work out. Every day, because that is real. Every day we go into something like, probably not going to happen that way, but I'm okay with it. Every day we walk like the smartest, strongest, amazing person into a room, ready for it to blow up in our face. Every day. Because we know we are smart. We believe in ourselves. If you did not have confidence, if you did not believe in yourself, you wouldn't do something like that. You would not boldly walk in knowing that it wasn't going to go right if you didn't know that you had a backup plan. If you didn't have a toolkit that you could immediately be like, and when that goes wrong, blah, 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 here we go. Friends, say it a little bit louder. I am amazing. I am amazing. Okay, let's go on to our next one. All right. What is the bravest thing you ever said? Asked the boy. Help, said the horse. I'm going to say it one more time. What is the bravest thing you've ever said? Said the boy. Help, said the horse. Let's go to the next page. Community. We have an incredible community. We do. Oh my gosh, I love teachers. I love that I can say I'm a teacher because there's so much richness in that, and not monetarily. There is so much richness in saying that I am part of a community of teachers because that goes with so much. No other person in this world understands you better than another teacher. Nobody gets that look on your face, that shorthand, that slang than another teacher. I have to tell you, for anyone who doesn't have a child and sleeps and has free time and your house is clean, I was talking with my husband and I was saying, he's like, it's hard to raise a child with somebody because you're coming with different personalities. And I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what's really interesting? And I wish she was here right now because I'm going to probably call her after this and tell her this. The best relationship I ever had was with my co-teacher who I had the longest. Because of the fact that like we raised 20 children together every year for 6 years. Every year, Tracy and I raised children together. We had to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. We had to understand each other's moments and days that we needed help. we had to be able to admit that we were wrong. We had to be able to say, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And in a non-judgmental way, knowing that this person that I'm working with isn't going to think less of me because I didn't know something. And together we raised 20 children. Together we raised 140 kids. There's 140 children that were raised by us. And I think that that's really incredible when we think about our community. No other group has the kind of power that we have. And I can't stress this enough by saying that we know we make a difference. And I've talked about this in many keynotes where we have the amount of brain development before a certain age mixed with how much time they spend with us. Like, we are truly laying that foundation, that code for who these kids are, but we don't do it alone. If you think about it, the average child, the average adult really, will have about 24 teachers in their lifetime. We're their firsts. We're part of this community that nobody else gets. But here's the thing, I'm going to get real. Like, this is going to turn a little bit. I have met many people who are like, I won the Golden Apple Award, or I won the best teacher of the year. Okay, here's the deal. This is getting real, right? Like, warning. When you're gone, does anybody else know what you know? Like, straight up, does anybody else know your slime recipe, the best slime recipe? Does anybody else know your Play-Doh recipe or the book that you just read? Does anybody know those things? Because if you are going to keep that because it's yours, you're not doing any good. Sure, those kids in your class, they have that benefit, but what does that new teacher next door have? It is our responsibility to share what we know with our co-teachers. And if you want to make Miss Sohn call it Miss Rachel Slime, whatever, staple it, prompt it, like, we're making Miss Rachel Slime today, but it's not yours. We have to share out. This community is only as good as if we share. Because you know what? There are many things that you know that your co-teacher doesn't know. There are many things that you know that teacher down the hall has no clue of. And for some reason, we are really good at hoarding our ideas. We want to be known as like, oh my gosh, Miss Rachel's puppets are like the best. We want to just be known because here's the deal. And I think I know why. Like, when we are not celebrated every day for all of the amazing things we constantly do, if something stands out, then we want to like keep that. Does that make sense? Like, if you do amazing things every day, but let's say it gets out that one of your amazing things is like this really great Play-Doh recipe, then all of a sudden you're like, nobody else needs to know this because I never get any spotlight. And I've never been told how great and how smooth and how wonderful my Play-Doh is. If we constantly celebrate each other and we constantly cheer each other and we constantly share, then there's no need for that. Because we all have that. Because here's the deal. You didn't get into teaching to be known as the best storyteller. You got into teaching because you wanted to make a difference for those children. You got into teaching because you wanted to make an impact. And while you can make an amazing impact on all of the kids that you have, think about the impact that you can make on all of the children that you don't. So community is great, but it's only community if you buy in. And we happen to have a job that buying in is really easy. We happen to have a job that allows us the opportunity to share. We talk more than anybody else with other teachers. So put that out there. And on that note, let's go to the next slide. All right. So this is a serious question, friends. Who is in your community? Who is in your community? Who is that person that you can go to? Who is that person that you share with? Who is that person that if you came up on and was like, I need your help, they wouldn't bat an eye? Is there a lot of people? Is there little people? Who is that person that you can go to and be like, I have no idea what I'm reading next week? And I really hope that everybody is saying somebody. Because the worst thing you can say right now is no one. And if you're thinking, wow, my community is kind of small, how can we change that? What can we do to just put ourselves out there? Make ourselves more available. Because if we don't have our community, then we don't have our cheerleaders. And Lord knows we need our cheerleaders. All right, friends, we're getting kind of near the end. So let's move on to that next slide. Oh man, when is the last time you felt supported? And also I'm going to add the next slide to this slide. Not only when's the last time you felt supported, but when's the last time you supported somebody else? So think about, you guys are all saying like my co-teacher, my director. Pick a specific time, a specific thing that they did that you're like, thank you. Thank you for having my back. Like, thank you for getting all those cots down. Thank you for stripping the sheets. Thank you for helping me because I just couldn't take care of it. And to that other point, when's the last time were you there for somebody? When's the last time that you saw somebody struggling and was like, I got you? I love that people are actually being so hyper specific in the chat. Like yesterday, 3 o'clock. Last week on Wednesday. Next slide, friends. Next slide. Moving right along in search of good times and good news. All right. Next slide, my loves. All right. Maybe then we might be having a little bit of technical difficulty, so let me move on and we'll just change our slides when we get there because in this we are going to pivot. Oh, so next slide after that because we comboed those together. Okay. All right, friends, are you ready? We have another page in our book. When big things feel out of control, focus on what you love right in front of your nose. And I'll read that one more time. When the big things feel out of control, focus on what you love right under your nose. Things will go wrong. We can change slides. Things will go wrong. We've talked about this. No other group of people roll into something 100% sure that it's not going to go as planned. So when a thing doesn't go as planned, is it a mountain or is it a molehill? Think about it. What did you do when you rolled in and you were confident? I am confident that there's a good chance this is going to fail. When you rolled in, what was that backup plan? Did you freak out? Were you like, no, 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 no. This worked last week. This worked 3 weeks ago. I was really confident that it was going to keep working, but they're children and they're unpredictable and nothing's ever what you think it's going to be. So when does it become small? When is it that molehill? When is it that tiny little hump? And when is it that mountain that you feel like you're not going to be able to jump over, to walk over, to hike over, to climb over? Let's go to our next slide. So, what did you do? And more importantly, were you proud of yourself? How were you? when's the last time, let me turn our music on. When's the last moment that you were utterly proud of how you handled a situation? Like, not like, oh, I did it, but like it would have derailed you. It would have derailed you any other day. But you took a deep breath. You tagged your partner in and you were like, I don't need to take this on. I'm gonna take a step back. And it was that moment of like, I'm really proud that I was adult enough to recognize that I needed a breather. And that's a big one. And I think that that's one that we don't think about often. It's something so small as recognizing that not every battle has to be fought by us. That not everything needs to be ours. That we can take a step back sometimes. We can tag that person in. We can take some deep breaths. And at that moment, you should be proud of yourself because you grew. That's the cool thing about the act of being proud. It's that reflective moment that you saw something. When we ask our children all the time, like, I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you that you did not make that same choice. I am so proud of you that you chose to keep your hand to yourself. That cheerleader behind you, when are they saying that to you? I am so proud of you that you took 10 deep breaths and walked away. I am so proud of you that you recognized that teachable moment and you acted on it. I am so proud of you that you saw and you just knew that that kid needed an extra hug and you gave it to them. All right, next slide, my friend. And on the same kind of theme, one of the greatest freedoms we have is how we react to things. Think about that. One of the greatest freedoms we have is how we react to things. And you can change slides. We have control. We have the ability to dictate how that day goes. That is amazing. We set boundaries. We set up routine. And God knows we have a schedule. We have a plan. We do. It's on the board. It tells you what we're going to do. And their children. And the biggest people who are out of control are kiddos, right? The biggest thing is that they are unpredictable, but we're flexible thinkers. I like to say that as an educator, nothing is written in pen. Nothing is written in pen. Everything can be adjusted. Everything can be moved. And we have the ability to release control. We have the ability to stop and be like, this is not about me and my agenda. Because you're not a teacher for you. You're not. You didn't become a teacher for you. You became a teacher for them. And because you became a teacher for them, that control is not yours. You share that, you release it, you give it. And I think that there's something really powerful about every single day taking that moment to acknowledge the power that you have, the power that you can give, and the power that you can release. So let's switch. Let's keep going. And we're actually, because we only have 5 minutes left, we have to move on to the next one. Okay. This is one of my favorite ones. Okay. Seriously, think about this. Is your glass half empty or half full? Asked the mole. I think I'm just grateful to have a glass, said the boy. One more time. Is your glass half empty or half full? Asked the mole. I think I'm just grateful to have a glass, said the boy. Okay, next slide. So here's the deal on this one. We all tend to fall into one of two categories. Are you a half full, meaning optimistic, rainbow sunshine? Or are you half empty, doom and gloom? And the reason why we talk about this with resilience is this. If you, and let's go a little bit back in time. Let's go circa, oh crumbs, let's do this. New Year's Eve, New Year's Eve going into 2020, your New Year's resolution. This is the best teaching year ever, okay? Let's say you are a half full person. Every day you're like, best day. This is going to be the best day ever. This is going to be the best year ever. This is the year of me. Okay. What happens when it's not? What happens when March 2020 hits? What happens when April 2020 hits? At that point, are you like, it's all wrong. It's awful. I expected things to be great and it's not. There's nothing wrong with being, everything's going to be positive. If in that backup plan, you walk into class and you're like, everything's going to be great. It's going to be a great day. As long as you're not the kind of person that if it goes wrong, you beat yourself up. Because it's not always going to be a great day. And the problem is, if you tend to be really excited, like it's going to be the best day ever. If something goes wrong, we beat ourselves up. We don't give ourselves grace. And I think that is a really big issue as someone who's a half full person. Something goes awry and I don't cut myself slack. I tend to think it's my problem. It's my fault that child, even though it's totally not, it's my fault that Quinn rolled into school feeling crummy. It's not my fault, but I take that on because in my mind, everything's going to be great. On the other side of that coin, if it's been a hard year for you, and it's been a hard few years for you, because it has for everybody, if you roll into class like, it is what it is, we're just gonna, probably won't be that great. I got a real tough group of kids this year. They're very aggressive. They throw things. It's probably gonna be a bad day. Then you're not going to see all those moments that make your class amazing. Those moments in each individual's life that you touch. You're not going to be able to truly look at each of these children and recognize the incredible difference that you make because you've already counted yourself out. You've already given up on yourself by saying it's not going to be a great day. You're in control. You have that power. So that's the thing I love about the idea of like, I'm just grateful to have a glass. I don't know if it's going to be half full. I don't know if it's going to be half empty, but I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I have my glass and I'm ready. I have my glass. I have my community. Oh no, the stop talking alarm. Oh, I have my glass. I have my community. And it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to have all of my toolkits, all of those tools. I'm going to be here. And when it goes wrong, because it's going to go wrong, I'm going to take from all of my experience and I'm going to learn from it. And when it goes wrong, I'm going to ask for help because I have a community I can ask. And if it goes wrong, I'm going to ask my co-teacher what they would do. I'm going to take nap and I'm going to think about the moments of success I had today. I'm going to take nap during nap. I'm going to make a list of everything I did that I was proud of myself for. Because when's the last time I wrote down when I was proud of myself? I really encourage you moving forward, if you have more than one teacher in your classroom setting, during those quiet moments of nap, when you're planning, do a 5-minute exercise every day where you write down 2 things that you're proud that you did and 1 thing you're proud that they did, or 1 thing you're proud of that you did and 2 things that you're proud of what they did. Because no one's our cheerleader but us. And the idea of those children waking up from nap completely refreshed and you and your co-teacher moving on with that rest of the day, acknowledging how proud we are. And especially because it's not going to just start at nap. Soon it's going to work in before. Where I remember Tracy doing like halfway through a rug time and being like, yes, That was a great idea. Stealing it. That was so good. Like, the cool thing is children are aspirational creatures and we are their biggest inspiration. And if they see us looking at each other like, yes, I'm so proud of you, that was awesome, to another adult, then that's normalized. I have to tell you a small story before we end. This reflective practice, Tracy and I really started doing the last maybe 3 years of our teaching career, because it just became this, it was hard. We had a couple really hard years, and it was like, let's just start celebrating. We're going to celebrate it and we're going to do it. And the cool thing is the kids started picking up our language. So I remember, like, I was trying, we all sing those stupid songs, those silly songs that we don't really know how they end, but they rhyme, and you like make them up as you go along. I was buying for time while we were lining up for the bathroom, and I made up this song. And like 2 of the kids were like, I'm so proud of you. That was so good. It was like, a 5-year-old would never say like, I'm so proud of you, but they kept hearing us say, I'm so proud of you to each other. And they knew that was a safe place that they could say, I'm proud of you to an adult. So let's go to the next question. So on that note, what goals can you make for next year? And that's kind of like a trick question. Don't make any goals. Live every class to class. Don't think it's going to be the best year ever. It's going to be a year. That's for sure. There'll be 365 days. That's going to go down, but it's not over. So let's go to that very last slide. Because friends, it is not the end. It is far, far, far from. It is merely, look how far we've come. I'm going to play our little cute music one more time. And I want you to take a minute and think about how far you've come. Not just this year, but in your entire teaching career. Think about today one, not knowing what to expect, and who you are today. Who you are today at 10, 12 in the morning on a Saturday. And who are you going to be tomorrow? Not tomorrow, Monday. Don't go to school tomorrow. No one's there. Who are you going to be on Monday? How is your room going to look different? And not necessarily physically, but in your eyes. How is it going to feel to walk into that room with a brand new set of confidence that you've always had? You just needed a little bit of a reminder. You needed that reminder that you are amazing. You needed that reminder that you are a superhero. You needed that reminder that you are smart, you are strong, you are brave, you are capable, and you are resilient. Thank you so much for sharing your morning with me. To the left is baby Lydia. To the right is that fun QR code, and no, it will not take you to a menu, but rather it will take you to some social media to just follow some adventures. I have a really exciting little bit of news. I have partnered with the National Pediatrics Association. We are doing a national podcast. It starts next month. It's called Teachers, Toddlers, and Tissues. And it is a podcast for early childhood educators to ask those questions. The first one we take on is basically snot, fevers, and cold. So look forward to for you guys to check that out, as well as just sharing your stories with me. Thank you, Early Learning Coalition, for having me as a guest. I love all of you very much, and I'm honored to be here. So thank you. And stop crying, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us such a great presentation. At this moment, we're going to go ahead and introduce Teachstone. So Anna, you have to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Oh, Rachel, I have laughed and cried and taken notes, and I am a big lover of the book. I have given it to all of our PDI team for Christmas this past Christmas.
Great.
Yes. So I just want, oh, why is my video not on? There we go. Okay, here I go. So I just wanted to tell you that I'm with you on the book. It's a great book.
So good.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you for everything you've given us this morning. I think we will all be reflecting on this conversation for a long time. And I wish you only good things with the podcast. That'll be a wonderful thing. Please share with us, and we will share with all of the Miami-Dade teachers, Miami-Dade Monroe teachers and friends.
100%. Thank you, Anna. And thank you, everybody. And I just wish you all a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you very
Anna.
much.
Anna,
Thank
thank you, Rachel. It was beautiful. Say the name of the book one more time. Folks in the chat box are asking.
It is, and I will hold it up. It's
Hold
called
it up.
Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
You take a picture of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll hold it right there. It is no joke, friends. Like you can get it at Target, you can get it at Walmart, you can get it online. It's really it's pretty inexpensive. It's a hardbound book. It's thick. It's a quick read. It's just, it really makes you stop and be like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah. Thank you, Rachel.